Hey people, I'm back. Thank you so much for your patience. And now we can start the session. So whatever the test I explained you, is there any question till here before we start applying these practically? No? Yes, always. You speak.
When we don't have questions, so there
Mhm.
are three possibilities.
Okay. Yes,
Number one is
continue,
we
please.
understood everything.
Hmm.
Number two is we did not understand anything at all.
Hmm.
And number three is we are not interested. So
So
I'm
what
just
is
telling
your
joke.
so
So
what is your hypothesis here? Your hypothesis is you understood, not understood, or third possibility?
understood, but not 100%.
Hmm. Okay.
Just to warm up everyone.
Hmm. No, I understand that. That's okay. It's not something that you will learn everything in one day. It take years and years of practice to reach to that level. So because I have done the
Yes.
practice for so many years, I'm doing the same thing for so many years. And that's how I have now a confidence that I know about Six Sigma. And the similar
Mm,
level, if you want to reach, that means you will do it or you have to do the lot of practice about that. Then only you will be able to reach about this level, right?
sure.
So that's what I was telling. You people should be keep doing the practice as much as possible. The more you practice, the more you will learn. Okay. So let me first start with a simple thing which is interesting as well. Maybe first I'll start with the correlation regression. So you can easily understand that, and that will be interesting part, and later I will move to the other analysis. So in correlation regression, the first thing we want to see the graphical relationship between two variables, x and y. So let's say what are the type of scatter plot that we will see, or what kind of relationship we can visualize out of the data. You start, you have a y variable. Let's say here is the y variable. And y variable, because we remember it is a dependent variable, and it will be depending on any of the input variable, which is your x variable. So this side is your x and this side is your y variable. Now, as the x variable will increase, because remember, x variable will always be increasing. And based on the nature of x, if your y variable is also increasing like this, that relationship is called your positive relationship. So we will say with the increase in x, your y is also increasing. That means it's a positive relationship. Or in case your x variable is increasing and your y variable start decreasing, then this relationship is called as a negative relationship. So suppose how much is the fuel consumption here? How many liter of fuel you have consumed versus how many kilometer driven. So as the kilometer you are driving more the more and more fuel you will consume. So x value in the kilometer is increasing. The same way, the fuel you have consumed on the y variable will be increasing. Right? Suppose you drive 10 kilometer, 1 liter fuel. You are driving 20 kilometer, 2 liter fuel like this. Correct? Or maybe when you are negative, here is the minutes. You are boiling the water, and here is the volume. How much is the volume left in the bowl? Correct? So more and more time you will be boiling, the volume will be keep reducing. That means it's a negative relationship. Sometime back you was telling me one example. One second. Let's say I will put here. When we say there is no relationship. Right? So the more and more we are learning about Six Sigma, and now we are stagnant that we are not understanding anything. Neither we are losing our knowledge, nor we are learning anything. Which means there is no relationship. Whatever I explain, you are not understanding. So we are at a constant level. This was just an example for the joke, but yes, when you are doing the things, right? And there is no impact on the y variable, then this is called as a no relation. Yes, always ask me, please.
Is it possible to have a vertical line? Mathematically, it is possible, but in our case of discussion here, is it possible why x is not changing, but y is changing?
No. Until your x, there is a possibility only when x is changing and y is not changing, because y is your dependent variable. So whatever the changes you will do in the x, that will reflect in the y.
All right.
Right? Because we are moving or changing the values only for the x, we are not changing the value of y. Y is a dependent variable. So whatever the things we have, the changes in the x is happening, that will reflect in the y variable. Question?
And similar way, x cannot be in the negative. It will always be positive in our case.
Yes. X will always be increasing. X will always increase. And based on the nature of x, your y will increase or decrease. Clear? Sometime there is another type of relationship. So up to a particular time, let's talk about your energy level. When we are starting the session, you are fully energetic. As the break will come, slowly, your energy will come down. Like parabola, we say. Right? So up to a certain point, your x variable will increase. As the x is increasing, your y will increase. But we reach to a constant condition when it stop increasing, and further it will start decreasing. This is the another type of relationship, or we call as a non-linear relationship. All right. So these are the graphical relationship we can make. If I take
more possibility is there?
No, these are the only type of relationship. Either it
for example, x is increasing. When x is increasing, initially y decreases, and after some time it increases again.
Possibly, yes.
So this is what I'm saying.
Yes. So this relationship,
parabola and hyperbola.
Yes. This can happen. Let's say here. And this is what I do like this. This can happen, hyperbola.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Possibility, yes. There is a possibility. So any kind of relationship can happen in your data. Let's understand with a practical example. Let's talk about a newborn child. Generally, we as a parent, we measure the age of the baby when the baby born or become for 1 month, maybe 2 month, maybe 3 month, or maybe 4 month. And doctor advise as well as we monitor the weight of the baby. Either the weight is increasing or not increasing in the same proportion as the age is increasing. So when X is constant or 0, we will be expecting Y will also be constant. But actually this is not in this case. So when the baby is born, definitely will have some minimum weight. Let's say around maybe 2.76 kg. On an average, baby for the couple of months gain approximately 350 to 400 gram weight, approximately. So maybe after 1 month, the baby gains some weight, and let's say baby became around maybe let's say 3.02 kg. Then after next month, baby became around 3. Let's say 37 kg. Then baby became around 3. Maybe let's say 84 kg. And then baby become 4. Let's say 12 kg. Any random number. And I wanted to plot a scatter plot and visualize this relationship. So I'll go to insert, recommended chart, and you can select any of these line graph like this. So this is your scatter plot created in the Excel. You can change these axis values, like as let's say minimum value, I want to start from the 2 so that I can visualize it clearly. And the scale what I'm using 0, 20, 40, instead of that, I'm using this as a 30 days of interval. So major unit I'm changing to 30 days. And now we can see how the values are moving upward. There is a positive relationship in the age versus weight. Right? So 30 days, baby has 3.02 kg, then 3.37, 3.84, or maybe 4.12. Clear about the graphical relationship? I hope so. Now, if I want to study the strength of the relationship, if they are related to each other, how strongly are they related? Right? So then we do the correlation analysis. Right? Let's say this is your data here. So when you check the correlation we represent with the symbol R. And this is called as an Pearson correlation, or R value represent the coefficient. Pearson correlation coefficient, we say this. Correct? Now, the Pearson correlation coefficient will be depending on how strong the relationship is. That represented in the R value. So, correlation of any process, as I was telling in the last example as well, ranges from 0 plus or minus 1, which means you are starting with the -1, which means it's a negative, and it will be going to the +1, which means it's a positive. -1 is perfect negative correlation, and +1 is a perfect positive correlation. So if I say this is your R value or the Pearson correlation coefficient here, and now we are checking the direction of the relationship, and we will be checking what is the strength of the relationship. So whenever your value is, let's say, here I will saying this value is 0. So there is no direction and there is no strength. This will say that if R value is 0, there is no correlation. If your R value is maybe, let's say, let me go first on the negative side. So direction, I will say negative. And it is, strength is very weak. So this will happen only when your R value on the negative side, which means it is from 0 to minus 0.30. So up to minus 0.30, it's a negative or very weak. Similar way, if it is go from minus 0.30 to maybe minus 0.70, then because it's a negative symbol, so direction is negative, and this level we consider as a weak relation. So this is a weak negative relationship when your R value is this. Or if your R value is from minus 0.70 to minus 1.0, if that's how you are getting your R value, that means relationship is still direction is negative, and we consider this as a strong relationship. This is the way we define the direction of the relationship. Now on the similar way, if relationship strength is from 0 to 0.30, which is on the positive side, right? So this is a positive relationship and this is a very weak positive. So whenever you consider very weak, positive or negative, altogether, basically we call there is no significant relation in all these three categories. I explained you very weak, but generally we consider as a no relation in this area. Similar way, if it is go from minus 0.30 to maybe minus 0.70, then because it's a negative symbol, so direction is negative, and this level we consider as a weak relation. So this is a weak negative relationship when your R value is this. Or if your R value is from minus 0.70 to minus 1.0, if that's how you are getting your R value, that means relationship is still direction is negative, and we consider this as a strong relationship. This is the way we define the direction of the relationship. Now on the similar way, if relationship strength is from 0 to 0.30, which is on the positive side, right? So this is a positive relationship and this is a very weak positive. So whenever you consider very weak, positive or negative, altogether, basically we call there is no significant relation in all these three categories. I explained you very weak, but generally we consider as a no relation in this area. Now, if your R value is ranging from 0.30 to maybe 0.70, then this is positive and we'll say it's a weak relation. Or if it is from 0.70 to 1.0, then it's a positive and a strong relation. Basis on this table, you calculate the R value which is listed here, and whichever the category of R value will come, that is what the relationship you have. Suppose I want to calculate the R value here for this relationship between age and weight. So we will be using a simple Excel formula is equal to CORREL, which talks about correlation. Select your Y variable, comma, select your X variable here. Bracket close, and this value is how much? 0.99. 0.99 will fall into which category?
Very strong positive.
Yep. This is very strong positive. So this category it will fall. Like this only, by using this formula is equal to CORREL, select your variables, you can easily find that what is the strength of the relationship. And whichever the category it is falling, that is what the relationship type we have. Are we good till here? Now, I will explain you another thing which is called as a regression analysis. So let me create a same thing basics. First I will explain and then I'll take a large data analysis for this and I will explain you. So this correlation part I'm just removing from here. And we'll be working on that. This is the correlation I have. So regression works on an equation which is called y is equal to a plus bx, where your y is your output variable. And in this example, what is our output? Our output is the weight, and weight is depending on the age. So x variable is age and y variable is the weight. So if you want to find out the weight based on the age, what you need to find out first, A is your intercept. What is the intercept? When x is equal to 0. So what is the minimum value of y at this point? That is called your intercept. Example, if you take this. Age of the baby is 0. Baby just born, right? And the difference from 0 to the minimum value, this area, basically this point, is called your intercept. So intercept value will be adjusted. As of now, my calculated value, what I have is 2.76. And you draw a trend line. And wherever this trend line is connecting, means that place is your intercept. So trend line will connect, which means it will go through the best fit line across. And you see there is a little down than 2.76. Actually is 2.76, but your trend line is connecting a little lower place. Right? So that is your intercept. You can calculate the intercept. Let me tell you here. We can calculate is equal to INTER-CEPT. Select your Y variable, comma, select your X variable, and here is the intercept 2.72. Actually, your value what was recorded 2.76, but the adjusted value is 2.72 for your data. B is called your slope. Slope means rate of change. When the one value is changing in the X, how much it is impacting the Y variable, how much change is happening in the Y variable. Right? We can calculate the slope by Excel formula is equal to SLOPE. Select your Y variable, comma, select your X variable. What is the value? 0.011, which means the age is here in the days, weight is in the kg. So every day, almost 0.01 kg weight baby is gaining. Right? So every day, baby is gaining a weight of approximately 0.01 kg. And now you can put in this equation. So correlation you calculated, intercept you calculated, slope you calculated. And suppose you wanted to find out the value of Y. When X or the age is 150 days, maybe doctor is telling that I will give the vaccination to the baby when baby will be approximately, let's say 5 kg or any other value, or maybe you want to identify when the X variable is 150, what will be the value of Y? Or after 150 days, how much weight your baby will have, or let's say this is your 160 days, maybe any random number you can take. So putting up this into the equation, Y is equal to A is 2.72 plus B is this multiplied by X, and X is the number of days 160. And you use this formula, you can find out after 160 days, the Y, which is the weight of the baby, will be 4.52 kg. Is this understood? Everyone?
Yes.
Y is equal to A plus BX, I applied. Intercept is your A. And slope is your B. So Y is equal to, identified A is 2.72. And the B value or the slope of the data is 0.11. And 0.11 here I multiplied by the X, which is 160 days. So after 160 days, the weight of the baby will be 4.52 kg. Now, let's say you have to give the vaccine to the baby. And doctor is telling, I cannot give the vaccine before baby will become 150 days, which means this vaccine is only meant for the 5 months of the baby. Right? and it should be correspond to the age as well. So what will be the age when baby will be your 5 kg? In case you are planning the vaccination, so you just need to transform this equation y is equal to a plus bx. If you are looking for the x is equal to, then we know that how do we transform the equation. So this will be x is equal to y minus a divided by b. Agree? Because this equation y is equal to a plus bx, you have y, x coming this side, b was in the multiply, so it will be in the divide, and a was in the positive, so it will be in the negative on the other side of the equation. So x is equal to y minus a divided by b. Now I want to identify what is the value of x. So you can easily identify this. X is equal to y is how much? 5 minus a 2.72 bracket close divided by b, which is 0.11. So it will take approximately 202 days for a baby to become 5 kg, and according to that you can plan the vaccination. Ask me question please, still here. Yes, Salman, ask.
What we have learned before is this equation is for a straight line.
Correct.
So this equation is actually for the trend line, not the actual data. Trend line which we have made.
To identify the trend line.
Yes, this is a trend line equation actually.
Yes.
Okay.
We also call this as a equation of a straight line or equation of trend line. We call both.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any more question?
Yes, I want to ask.
Yes, please.
How if our equation, what will be happening with our equation when the graph or slope is hyperbola or parabola, not a straight line?
That is a non-linear regression. And there is a different calculation for the non-linear regression. Ultimately, you will be calculating the slope and intercept for both that data as well. But there is a method to calculate the non-linear regression. In case you are interested in learning, I can explain you that as well, maybe when I will go in detail. But generally, we don't go into that much of detail, otherwise it will be too much of statistics. Okay, I will try. I'll try if the time permit, I will do that as well. Now, I am going to share you some data on which we will be doing the practice, and data is so good that you can use this data for all the statistical analysis which I have written here. So I'm calling this as a student performance, creating a copy of this data into your Excel sheet. You have the data available now in your Excel sheet. You have the student performance. Suppose these are my 3 numeric variable. Let's say there are students in my class and they have the math score. I have their reading score and I have their writing score. I wanted to find out, is there any statistical relationship between x, between these 3 variables, yes or no? Right? So wanted to find out graphically, does your math score is related to reading score or writing score, yes or no? Let's say I'm not taking all the value. Maybe I'll just pick up this, some 60 values from here. Or let's say I'll do one thing. I'll copy paste all the data in the mini tab in one go. So we wanted to see graphical relationship between math, reading and writing. Let's consider math is your y variable and you wanted to see the impact on math from reading and the writing score. We'll go to stat. Sorry. We will go to the graph and the first option is the scatter plot. We click on this scatter plot. Select your line with the regression like this. Click on OK. Now you have the y variable, which is math score, and input variable is your reading score. Again, I want to see the math score and the writing score relationship like this. Or maybe you want to see the relationship between reading and the writing also. I selected X and Y. Maybe in the multiple graph, you can select in the separate panel of the same graph, which means in the one graph, you will be able to see all three pictures. Click on OK. Click on OK. And you can see the graphical relationship among these three variables, how they are related to each other. All right. So all of these three, math versus reading, math versus writing, or maybe reading and writing, all of these have the positive relationship. That's how we see the graphical relationship. Let me put this as a scatter plot. You wanted to see the correlation between these three values. Let's say. So correlation, to check that, we will go to the stat, basic statistics, and here is the correlation. These are the three variables here. If you just click OK, maybe you want to see the result and the pairwise deviation table. Click on OK. And now you have the result here. So the correlation, if you see at the graph itself, it is given 0.818. So this is the value of R, which means relationship between the reading and the math score is around 0.18 on a scale of -1 to +1. Okay. That's how we calculate the R value in this. Now another important thing, you have to look at the last table, which is the pairwise correlation. And we need to look for the P value. Please remember, make a note what I'm explaining now. If is around 0.18 on a scale of -1 to +1. Okay. That's how we calculate the R value in this. Now, another important thing, you have to look at the last table, which is the pairwise correlation. And we need to look for the P value. Please remember, make a note what I'm explaining now. If your P value of the relationship is less than 0.05, that means the relationship between X and Y variable is significant. So you have the variable here. The first row is reading and the math score. And the P value is less than 0.05, which means the relationship between the reading score and math score is significant. And the strength of relationship is 0.818 on a scale of 0 to 1 as a positive. Now the second writing was as math score. The P value is 0.0, which means there is a significant relationship. And strength of relationship is 0.803 or 80.3% positive. Then you have the writing score versus reading score. Because P value is less than 0.05, right? And the correlation value is around 0.955, which means almost 95% they are correlated. And this relationship is significant as well. And this is the way we calculate the correlation of the data. Any question, people? No? Now this is regression we were talking about, right? So let me first tell you 1:1 regression. Maybe I want to see the relationship between math and the reading score. Considering math is your Y variable and reading is your input variable or X variable. So we'll be going to the stat, regression analysis. And in regression, you will look for the fit regression model. Same equation will remain, y is equal to a plus bx if it is positive, or y is equal to a minus bx if it is a negative relationship. Click on this. Response variable is your, let's say, math score. Is your output variable. And you wanted to predict the math score by reading score, which is your input variable. That's all. Click on OK. And now you have an equation in front of you. What is that? Y is equal to a plus bx, where the value of a is 7.36, value of b is 0.8491, and you can put the value of x, you will get the value of y, or you transform the equation, x is equal to y minus a divided by b, so you can get the value of x as well here. When you look for the regression, again, the important thing is you need to look at the p-value. If your p-value is less than 0.05, which means the relationship between the x and y variable is significant. So if the p-value is less than 0.05, then it's a significant relationship. Now, what R value you was calculating, here is the R square of that, which means R value may be positive or negative, but in this case, R square will always be positive. So R square is just the square of R value. What R you have, if you are just doing the square of that, that become your R square. Now, you need to see another important value here is the lack of fit. This lack of fit is 1.53 here, 0.153. So lack of fit value will tell you that how well your data, what you are using for the analysis, fits with the analysis. Please remember, if the lack of fit p-value is less than 0.05, that means data does not fit very well. If the lack of fit p-value is greater than 0.05, that means data fits very well. All right. If the lack of fit p-value is less than 0.05, then data doesn't fit well. But if the lack of fit p-value is greater than 0.05, that means data fits very well. That's how we'll be reading it. And this is the way we do the 1:1 regression. Suppose you want to add one more variable here. Maybe along with the reading score, you want to have the writing score as well. So now the same equation which we have y is equal to a plus bx, it will become y is equal to a plus b1 x1 plus b2 x2. If relationship is positive, or if relationship is negative, then it will become y is equal to a minus b1 x1 or minus b2 x2. Depends on the relationship is positive or negative. Now you see here, I put these two variables and click on OK. What you noticed? Y is equal to a plus b1 x1 and plus b2 x2. We have got it. Right? And we have the p-values. All the p-values are less than 0.05, which means the relationship between x and y variable is significant. Now, if you look here, the lack of fit p-value greater than 0.05, which means the data what I am using for the analysis, this data fits very well with the analysis. There is no issue in this. And the equation you have here. So anything you want to predict, you can predict with the help of this equation. Now question, please. That's how we do the regression. Yes, ask me, Gulistan.
Sir, what about the error and the pure error?
I can explain those as well, but I think let it be with the Minitab. Because if you'll start getting into so much of the statistics, right, it will be very difficult to digest everything. Maybe you have the mathematical or statistical background, you can digest, and this is just a starting point. We are going to learn about the many of the statistics. So my recommendation will be Once you are through in interpreting the result, then only you should try and learn the statistics. But if you are just learning because that's how we have the software, what you need to know as a black belt, you should know how to interpret the statistics and use it practically instead of learning how to calculate this. So the error comes from the lack of fit and the pure error, both together. Right?
Right.
So total degree of freedom will depend on the number of data points you have. Out of these total 1000 data point I have, where I see 997 is the degree of freedom, which means lack of fit, the number of sample what I have seen is around 614. These are values are extreme out of 997, which is showing, and 383 excuse me, are the values which are by chance in the equation. Ideally, they should not be. So these 383, if you see, some of the observation are given here. Where you will see on the R stand for large residual. Large residual means these values are significantly away from the center line where it should be. And X value is the unusual observation, which means these are the X value which are you can say extreme value in the data, which should not be part of that example. Suppose the first X value you see 0. When on an average your score, but you have seen the data in the math relationship is all around 60 or 80, you are checking for this value, and suddenly one value is 0. So why this one value is 0? This is an extreme value, which means on the one side, on the negative side, there is no possibility of getting the 0, but you are getting the 0, though that's an extreme value of the data. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
No problem. Okay. Now, we will be learning about, let's say, one sample comparison. In one sample comparison, when you are comparing sample data with the target value. So how does it work? When you have a process target like this, suppose here. So this is the target which you should be achieving. And you have the many of the values, and those values are ranging like this to this. So if it is overlapping with the target, let me write here, if overlap, then it's a null hypothesis, no difference, which means you meet the target. Or if doesn't overlap, then it's an alternate hypothesis, and we'll say there is difference. All right. So if does overlap, null hypothesis, like as this case. So whenever you see there is a null hypothesis, null means your p-value will be greater than 0.05. So if your actual observation, like as this, because you have the multiple data points, so center line will be the average value and data distribution will be shown like this. So if it is overlapping anywhere from starting from here tilde here, so then it's a null hypothesis. There is no difference. But anytime it is maybe more than this or less than this, statistics will only understand they are same or they are not same. So if the p-value of the result is coming less than or equal to 0.05, then we will say there is a difference. Yes, Salman, ask a question, please.
Yeah, my question is the target. In this case, we are dealing with only one target, not plus minus a specification limit or something like that.
No, when we compare in the statistical test, we always compare with the fixed value. And whatever the sample data you have, that sample data will come with the plus or minus limit.
Okay.
If you remember, I was explaining you the margin of error.
Mhm.
So margin of error is you calculate based on the standard deviation in the number of sample and what risk alpha, and then average value of the target, what your average of the data is like as this value, what you have. I'll take the practical example. Suppose this. So here is the average value. So average plus or minus margin of error is your statistical range. If your statistical range is overlapping with the target, they are same. Or if the statistical range is not overlapping with the target, then they are different. That's how we did it.
But this
And-
target is actually, for example, we are dealing with the diameter of a bolt. With the limit is that it should be 1 inch plus minus 0.01. So this target is not related to that plus minus 0.01.
No, not plus minus 1. It's a exactly value.
Exact one value.
Exact one value. When you talk about the plus minus 1, then it will be, you are comparing basically plus minus 1 will always come with the confidence interval. And confidence interval is margin of error when you have the multiple samples.
Okay.
You will be learning so soon. And this is how your one sample, all the one sample test will work. Let's say the first test we want to understand, you are comparing the mean. So we have the data in the Minitab. Let's say you wanted to compare your math score, or maybe reading or writing any one value. So when, let's say you are a mentor for a class, or you are teaching in a college or the campus, and you are expecting that on an average, let's say math, or maybe writing, or maybe reading, any one value you consider, let's consider the writing. So when your students are appearing for the writing exam, they should have at least 70 or more than 70 score in the writing. So 70 here is the target. And what is the confidence interval that will be statistically calculated by the data? So first thing we always check the, let's check my writing data is normal or not normal. So which test we perform for the normality people? Any one of you?
Anderson-Darling test.
Yes, Anderson-Darling test, absolutely correct. So stat, basic statistics, and here is the normality test. Select the writing score. Click on OK. Looking at this data, what do you say? It's normal or not normal? It is p-value less than 0.05. So this data is not normal. So whenever data is not normal, we generally perform Wilcoxon test for the mean comparison and sign test for the median comparison. Right? Let's say, assuming this data is normal, just for assumption, and you want to perform the one sample t-test. How do we do this? We decided target is 70 and actually this value is 68.05. Okay. So does 68.05, if you see mathematically, it is less than 70. What is your target? So in this case, mathematically, you did not meet the target. But are you meeting statistically, yes or no? Okay. So how do we do this? Let's say here. We will go to the stat, basic statistics, and here is the one sample t-test. Now your data is in single column, yes, writing score. What target you want to achieve? You want to achieve the 70 as a target. Click on OK. Looking at the p-value, is this target and your number are same or are they different? Target is 70 and actual value is 68. Are these both same or are they different from each other? So they are different, which means target value is higher than your actual observation and you did not meet the target. That's the way we'll be reading it. Suppose you want to check maybe current standard deviation is 15 and you are telling, no, my client is asking only for the 10 standard deviation. Standard deviation is predefined, right? And now you wanted to compare. If I consider my standard deviation as in 10, will I be able to meet the target or not? So we'll go to stat, basic statistics, and one sample z-test. You have the value here, writing score. You may have a standard deviation. Let's say I consider 10 I was expecting. And perform a hypothesis test like, let's say 70 is the value, right? Click on OK. And here is the answer. This says, what is the target you have? 70. You did not meet the target and when you keep the standard deviation in 10. Similar way, suppose you wanted to compare the median. So for the median comparison, for the mean comparison for the not normal data, we do the one sample Wilcoxon test. Let's say still this time I will show you null hypothesis. Maybe my target is 68. So we'll go to stat, non-parametric, and one sample Wilcoxon test here. Your variable is, let's say, writing score. And test median is how much? Maybe let's say this time I'm saying 68. You wanted to find out either you achieve the target of 68 or not. Click on OK. And now you can see Are they same or are they different? What is your answer? Because the p-value is greater than 0.05, so there is no difference. The target of 68, what he was assuming, is actually 68.5, and both are same. There is no difference. The median. Now, another thing, let's learn. We have the one sample sign test. When you are comparing the median and data is not normal. So we'll go to the stat, non-parametric, and one sample sign test is here. Variable is, maybe let's say this time reading score. What you want to achieve? Maybe I want to achieve 17, the reading as well. Let's click on OK. P-value is perfectly 1. So actually, your null hypothesis will say that both are same. And alternate is saying that they are different. Against what? Out of this 1000 value, at least 50% of the values are equal to the median. This is what is expecting. So we have around 487 value, which is less than the median, and 487 value, which is greater than the median, almost in the equal number. And when they are equally distributed, there is no difference. Then it's a null hypothesis and p-value will be greater than 0.05. Now, in the similar line, we can have the one variance test. Let's say here my standard deviation is not given, but I think the last scene I have seen it was 16. Client is telling or customer is telling that variation in my process should not be more than 10 standard deviation. And you have the data for the 10 processes, whatever you have. You have the process data for these 1000 sample and target is 10. To compare either you are meeting the target of 10, yes or no, we will be performing the variance test. So stat, basic statistics, and here is the option one variance test. Click. Here is your data. What you want to target? You want to target, let's say, math score or reading score against 70. Click on OK. And now p-value is perfectly 0, 0, which means test for the one variance test. So the variation against the target, what is the target? You had a 10. And what is the actual? 15.2. So 15.2 and the 10 as a variation are same. They are not different from each other. Now, in case you wanted to see the defect rate. So maybe, let's say here is a production and here is the defect. All right, maybe I'm just taking as summarized data. So production is, let's say you have done 2345 and the defects what you have is around, let's say, maybe 24. So what is the defect percentage? 24 out of 2345, which is around 1% defect or more than that. Now your target is the defect should not be more than 2%. So question is, are you meeting the target or you are not meeting the target? Out of 2,345 production, we got the defect of 24. So I'll say, let's say 2, 3, 4, 5, 24 and target is 2. Stat, basic statistics, one sample Poisson rate test. So let's say you have a summarized data. Sample size is how much? 2, 3, 4, 5 and 24 are the defect. 2, 3, 4, 5 are the total occurrence is 34. 34 na? 24, sorry. Total occurrence is 24. And target is not more than 2%, which is 0.02. You click on OK. And p-value is less than 0.05, which means you are significantly away from the target. Now you have to take your practical decision that it may be good or may not be good for you. Because defect rate is lower is better. Your current value is 0.1, target is 0.2, and it is lower is better. So that means actually you are significantly different, and this difference is good because my defect is lower is better. So you was expecting to have the defect not more than 2%, but actually you have defect 1%, which is statistically ranging from 0.006 to 0.0152. And we'll do the last. I think this is going to be too much for you people. Tomorrow we'll start with the 2 samples. So the last we are going to talk about when you have the defective. Let's say here is the audit, or maybe let's say production. And here is the rejection. Okay. You have done last month 4,450 pieces and you rejected around 65. So what is the rejection percentage of this data? It is 65 rejected out of total 4450, which is 1.46%. Now your target is 1%. Here I was having 2% target. Now you have the 1% target. So mathematically, if you look this value is much higher than the 1%. Because rejection is lower is better. So I did not meet the target. This is the clear indication. Let's compare this with the statistically as well. So 65 out of 4450, 1%. We'll go to stat. We'll go to the basic statistics. And then here is the one proportion test. You have a summarized data. Number of events, how many? 24. Number of trials, 2, 3, 4, 5. Performing the hypothesis test against the 1% target, which means 0.01. That's all. And here are the result. 0.917, which means your current value, whatever you have. And if I'm setting up a target of 1%, both are same, there is no difference. So you are comparing like as, let's say, what is the other factory or other plant is doing and what is my plant is doing. So considering the other plant as a benchmark, you are trying to fix your problem. So to validate that, we use the one sample proportion test whenever the data is in the percentage. Right? And I think I should close here only for the one sample comparison. Tomorrow we'll meet for the two sample comparison and we'll continue the journey. All right. So today I explained you about what are the tests we conduct in a specific situation. And I explained you about the correlation regression as well as the one sample comparison with the data. Let me take a pause and wait for any question in case you have. Otherwise, I am happy or I am ready to close the session for the day.